All right, we're back. This is Rage in a Cage with BamBam and Schwaggs. I'm your host, Frank BamBam Horak. And with me, as always, my co-host, Mikey Schwaggs.
Hey Frank, how's it going? And with us as always is our producer, Tough Tony. He's got to make a few announcements. Let's hear those.
What's going on there, guys? Once again, check out both our websites. We're on Facebook and Twitter, both Rage in the Cage 6, and check out our Gmail account, which is rageinthecage6 at gmail.com. Send us your comments, your compliments, anything you want to say. Back to you, Frank and Mike.
That was
Thank you
great.
there, Tough Tony. Are we trending like the kids say?
I don't think so.
No,
Mike.
nowhere close, Frank.
I think
All
we have to have over like 100 followers.
Let's at
first.
least try and get to 10.
We're getting there. Well,
We're
maybe,
close.
Maybe after this segment,
Three
because as
more.
we said in the last one, it's March. So that means baseball's around the corner.
Right around the corner.
So we're
Spring
going to talk
training.
a little fantasy baseball.
Let's get right into
I'm going to
it.
give Bam Bam's top 5 rankings. You can
Top
agree or
5?
disagree.
I will disagree with most
Well,
of them.
You should agree because I'm right. But anyway,
You
let's
always
get
think
right
you're
into
right.
it. Number 5.
Disagreed.
Well, we'll see. Arguably the best second baseman of all baseball right now, Mr. Robinson Cano. Coming off a career year last year, we had 28 home runs, 118 RBIs. Batting in the 5th spot for the Yankee lineup. Now he's going to be moving up into either the cleanup spot or the number 3 spot in a very potent Yankee lineup. So I see even a better year this year. And again, not only with his numbers, but also when you just look at the position, he's the best second baseman. He's been the best second baseman, at least, again, fantasy-wise, best second baseman the last 3 years. So you would think that would continue. So that's why I have him at number 5. Number 4,
I think that's a little too high.
well, agree to disagree.
Who
would you put at
We're
number
not
5?
getting any
We'll get into
analysis
that.
whatsoever?
After the rankings, you can
Okay. I'm
pipe-
saying it.
pipe down over
I
there for a
disagree
second.
with that first one.
All right.
I think he's a little too high. Not 5.
All right. Number 4, Jose Batista, better known as Joey Bats. Now, for a while, I thought this
Who
guy.
calls him that?
People call him that.
Frank does.
I call him. That's his nickname on Toronto, for God's sakes. Anyway, let's not get off track here. Joey Bats, I thought he was a fluke, to be honest. I thought maybe a one-year wonder type of a deal, but now he's put together a couple of very good years. Hit over 40 home runs last year.
Mm-hmm.
His on-base percentage is very impressive. Walks a lot. And now that Blue Jay lineup is getting better and better each year. So he's going to score more runs, have the opportunity to drive in more runs. So
Yep.
I see him as number 4 guy. I think a big year coming for him.
I'll agree with
You
that.
agree with that one?
Yeah.
All right, I'm glad. All right, number 3. In my opinion, I thought should have been the NL MVP, but he was the fantasy MVP last year when you look at his numbers.
Absolutely.
That's Matt Kemp.
I already know who you're talking about.
Absolutely. Look at Matt Kemp. Had just an unbelievable year. 324, 126 RBIs. Was almost very close for a 40-40 season. 39 home runs, 40 steals. So, I mean, he had a very down year the year before that, only hitting like 242.
It's because he was
19
dating
steals.
Rihanna.
That could have been it. Who knows if that
She's a
factored
little
in at
crazy.
all. But he had a great year last year, and I see more of the same. I don't know if he's going to have those numbers again. Those were like career year, great, just absolute great numbers.
Absolutely.
But he'll still have numbers similar to that, and he'll be our number 3 guy.
Yeah, I think he's the best center fielder right now in baseball.
Tough to argue. Number 2, I'm going to go with Miguel Cabrera. When you look at these guys, he doesn't get you the steals, obviously, but he gets you everything else you need. 344 average last year, 111 RBIs, over 30 home runs, and now he's got some protection in that lineup with Mr. Prince Fielder batting behind him.
Yep.
So I see a big season for Cabrera. And then number 1, I have to go with Albert Pujols. I know he had some injuries last year, but even with those injuries, still hit 37 home runs. Now he goes from help the Cardinals win a World Series. Now he leaves the Cardinals, go to the Angels. And the main reason why I put him as number 1, as I looked at his interleague numbers that he had against
Astounding.
the American League, it was 143 games. He had 348, 29 home runs, and 121 RBIs.
Astounding.
So he does pretty good against the American League
Yeah.
pitching, I guess. So he's still, when he's healthy, he's still the best hitter in the game. There's no question about it.
No
I do question, though, his little protection in his lineup, though. He got aging players like Torrey Hunter, Abreu, and Vernon Wells. But he didn't always have the greatest protection in the Cardinal lineup either, and he still put up monster numbers. So I'll go with that as my number 1, Mr. Albert Pujols. So that's my top 5.
No love for Prince Fielder?
Not for the top 5, though. I think a lefty in that Detroit line, I think there's going to be a little adjustment period also going to American League pitching now. His interleague numbers, I don't have the exact numbers, but they certainly weren't on the Pujols level. So I think he'll have a good year. Obviously hitting in a lineup with Miguel Cabrera, but as far as the top 5, I wouldn't go top 5.
And another guy who you didn't have on there who also had an outstanding year last year, Ryan Braun.
Right. Well, that's the other thing I want to talk about. I want to talk about it. One sleeper and one bust.
Okay.
So my sleeper, I have Andrew McCutchen.
Great center fielder for the Pirates.
25 years old, coming into his prime. Had a 2020 season last year. But the reason I'm calling him a sleeper, though, because I think at the end of this year, he's like right now, I think he's going like a 3rd or 4th round player. probably like, if you're ranking him, he's like in the 20 to 25 range. I think he's going to be a top 10 player when it's also. I think he's possible.
It's possible.
30 season this year for him. He's getting a little older. The power's going to go up a little bit more. He's got the great speed. Good center fielder. So I see Andrew McCutchen as my sleeper. Now, as my bust, I only call it a bust just because I'm saying Ryan Braun, but just because I think right now he's being drafted. He could, some leagues you can make the argument that he's the number one player getting taken.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a great year last year. There's no question about it. But I just look at the steroid cloud over his head, loses Prince fielder. And
That
that's
hurts.
huge. That's huge.
That hurts. That really
Absolutely.
hurts.
So I just think where he's getting drafted. I mean, you can make an argument like you said. He could be a top 5 guy. I think this year he's not going to be in the top 5. I don't think he's going to be in the top 10 either. He'll be in the top 20. He's still going to put up great numbers. He can still possibly get you a 30-30 season, but I just don't see it this year. I think losing Prince Fielder really hurts. And he's still when he goes on the road, he's gonna get booed. You're gonna have the steroid type chance.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna get that because he kind of got lucky with that technicality.
That might,
at least in my opinion.
I feel like that's gonna play out into this season too, definitely. For
I know.
him.
I don't.
It's gonna be glooming over him the whole season.
It's gonna hang over him. And so the bust, I don't think he's gonna have like a horrible year. He's still gonna have a very good year, but he won't be in the MVP talks. He won't be a top 5 type player. So where he's getting drafted, I think can make an argument that he'll be a bust because I don't think he'll be a top 5 player this year.
Now you got no pitchers. No love for the pitchers.
Not in the top 5. No. I mean,
you got top 5 hitters. Why not do top 5 pitchers?
I got Roy Halladay. I go Justin Verlander. I'll go with Tim Lincecum because that National League, that ERA is always low. I mean, the wins could be a little tricky. Cliff Lee, I think, also with that Phillies. That's why the Phillies have a very nasty rotation.
I got a nice sleeper that you would like as a pitcher.
Let's hear the sleeper.
He was injured for most of last year, but I think he's going to have a nice bounce back year. Josh Johnson for the Miami Marlins.
He's a guy I personally usually end up drafting because he has such great talent, but just the problem is he just can't stay healthy. If he can stay healthy, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball, but just year after year, there's always something that he gets, and it's always not a minor injury. It's usually an injury. That's it. He's done for the season.
Yeah, that's what happened last year.
So it's tough. You also got King Felix out there again. Might not get you the wins, but every other category he'll be right up there as one of the top pitchers, no question.
You also got to mention
and you got to talk about
Angels.
The Jared Weaver also. I would put in my top 5.
Aaron.
Aaron, yeah, I'm more high on Weaver.
Have you seen Aaron in his last 2 spring training starts? He looked.
I know you
don't count spring training, but
I'm not counting, but I don't get high on spring training.
He looked lights out.
He's looked lights out, but again, it's spring training. I don't get too crazy with it. I would take Weaver over Aaron if I'm drafting. And then also
I had Weaver last year, so I would too.
You got to mention the big fella, Carlson Charles Sabathia. You talk about guys.
Love him.
I do love him. Because you talk about a guy with wins.
He's got a lot of them.
He's going to get you 18 to 21 wins most likely every year if he's healthy. So that's a guy that I wouldn't mind taking also. I wouldn't put in the top 5. I put right outside the top 5 when talking about fantasy pitchers.
Speaking of the Yankees, they added a lot of pitching in the offseason. One guy I would stay away from, though, is Pineda. I'm not too sure about him.
Did you hear the news today? The Yankees got another starting pitcher today.
Who'd they get?
Andy Pettitte.
Oh, yeah.
He's coming back for 1 year.
He, in an unFarv-like comeback.
Yeah,
I loved it. Did you see what he tweeted?
Yeah, I did.
It was great. He was like, I'm embarrassed to say this, but I'm coming back. My desires changed.
Listen,
what are you gonna do?
He didn't retire because he was getting smacked around. When his last season with the Yankees,
great.
he was 11-3 with like a 3.70 ERA. So he could still. I mean, at 39, if you want to take him with one of your last picks in the draft, might not be because I think it's pretty safe to say he'll make the rotation as like a 4th or 5th starter.
Oh yeah,
he can still get you anywhere between 10 and 15 wins. So if you're looking for like a late round pickup, that might not be the worst pickup you can get.
One guy who I think might emerge as a top 5 fantasy player this year plays for the Miami Marlins also, and Hanley Ramirez.
Well, he needs a bounce back because he was my first pick last year, and that did not work out too good. Even though I did win my league, but still, he had a very.
I think he's gonna have a good bounce back year.
I think so too. Having Reyes in that lineup, I think helps him. You got Morrison another year stepping up.
He's good.
You got Stanton changed his first name, but he's still a good player.
But he changed his first name.
Something I can't pronounce, so I'm not gonna even try. But it's no longer Mike. It's something.
It's no longer Mike. That's why I liked him. His name was the same as mine.
He's still a good hitter. You got Chris Collin.
I'm
not good with the names.
I know what you're trying to say.
Center fielder.
Yeah, Chris Coughlin.
There you go. Watch your mouth. It's a kid's show. But the Marlins, I could see it being a good team this year, actually.
Oh, absolutely. That division is up for grabs.
Another fantasy sleeper also. I'm always high on American League pitchers that go to the National League.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at a Mark Burley type. When he was with the White Sox,
iffy.
Iffy. But with the National League, the lineups are not as deep. And
No.
it's just you look at the track record. Usually, American League pitchers that go to the National League have a lot of success. You see that ERA go down, the wins go up. So again, it's like a late type round. If you're looking for one of your last couple of picks, Mark Burley, not a bad choice.
That's actually that's a good sleeper pick, I think. Another good sleeper pitcher, in my opinion, plays for the Mets.
Oh boy,
he's gonna come back. Johan.
Well, listen.
Look for him to have a bounce back
I
year.
would be weary about it though, just because any pitcher coming off. Same thing with Josh Johnson. As much as I like Josh Johnson, anytime a pitcher's coming off injuries when it comes to their pitching,
They're throwing
arms,
arm, it's scary.
So again, if you can get him late,
that's what I'm
go
saying.
right ahead.
I see him dropping to like the 10th, 15th round.
Oh yeah, no, there's no question. I would think so at least, unless you get like a diehard Met fan that's just not willing to be biased.
I don't think there's that many left.
It's got to be tough, I would think.
It's tough to be a Mets fan these days. It definitely is. So is that it for your sleepers and busts? You got any more busts?
Well, actually, I'm a Yankee fan, but I'm trying to be biased. But I would think Ellsbury for the Red Sox, I think had a career year last year. So I think he's going to be drafted high in drafts. So he'll get you the steals. That's not going away.
Mm-hmm.
I think the rest of his numbers will go down. I don't see him repeating he had a very good year last year. Don't get me wrong. I just, again, thinking where he's getting drafted, again, he could be he's another top 5 guy, top 10 type of guy that will get drafted.
Yeah.
I think when it's all said and done this year, he will not be a top 5, top 10 guy. So again, call him a bust. I still think he's going to have a good year, but just not. He had a career year last year.
Absolutely.
I don't see it happening.
He was in talks for the MVP.
Yeah, absolutely, and rightfully so. Because again, he had a very good season.
Maybe if the Red Sox didn't have that historic collapse at the end, he might have won the MVP. Who knows?
Well, the chicken and beer, it is enticing.
The chicken and beer. Well, there's no more beer in the clubhouse allowed. Bobby Valentine has laid down the law.
Another, I guess, I don't know if you can call this guy a sleeper, but Carlos Gonzalez from Colorado.
Not much of a sleeper.
It's not really a household name, but I see him having like a big year this year.
He had a pretty good year last year.
He was like a 20-20 guy.
He was injured a lot, though.
Yeah, injury. But in that ballpark, with the talent that he's got, I put him up as could possibly top 10 guy.
One guy who I don't see is going to produce the same numbers he produced last year is Curtis Granderson. I just don't see it happening. He had a great year last year. I just don't see him producing the same type of numbers.
I disagree with that one. Just because hit number 2 in that lineup, either behind Teixeira, or behind Cano, whoever Girardi decides to put in that 3-hole. I think with his power at Yankee Stadium, it's hard for me not to think his numbers being similar. Because you look at it, it wasn't just because of the Yankee Stadium with the short porch. He was a 30 home run guy in Detroit, which is a huge ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that this wasn't a fluke with his power numbers. I think that'll continue. I think he can get you about 20 steals. He'll get the RBIs hitting and score the runs hitting in that lineup. The average might be a little down.
That's what I was more worried about, is his average.
I think he'll have a good year. I mean, I'm a little biased, but trying to look at
You're
it.
very biased.
I say very biased.
You're not a little biased.
I'm trying to look at it objectively. I don't, one Yankee, you want to point that to my, A-Rod, used to.
I think A-Rod's going to come back and be great.
Yeah, I hope so.
He got that same surgery Kobe got in Germany.
Kobe.
And have you seen Kobe playing this year? He looks like a kid
The
again.
masked Mamba.
Yeah, the Black Mamba.
Oh, he's got a mask on now. He's got a masked Mamba.
The masked Black
on
Mamba.
On that note, we're going to wrap it up. But yeah, it was a little fantasy baseball talk. We'll have some more for our next show. So stick around. It's been Rage in a Cage with BamBam and Schwaggs.
Black Mamba.
Masked Mamba.
The deadliest snake in the world.